I'm Myriam.
And I'm Elyse. Two friends bound by the love of books.
Taking on the world one chapter at a time. This is the Book Bound Besties podcast. Hey, Book Bound Besties! Welcome to episode 3 of season 2 of the Book Bound Besties podcast, where we dive deep into your favorite books, have unhinged chats, and Elyse theorizes about what's to come since she has not read the whole book yet. Mm-hmm. Today we're going to be talking about Iron Flame chapters 16 through 20. And like we have been doing for season 2, we're going to give you a little content warning because this episode does contain topics that are not suitable for little ears.
Yeah.
So Elyse and I have had a hectic past few days.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot of reading.
We have been, yes.
We were really lucky to be selected to receive an ARC, which is an advanced reader copy of an indie author named Miranda Lynn. She has this new book coming out April 23rd, 2024, called Till Death. And it's really, really interesting. Her magic system is very unique.
Yeah, the world that she's built is super intriguing and interesting. There's a lot of mystery, and you find out a lot of interesting things about everyone involved, and it's good.
Yeah,
it's
the writing
really
is
good.
super beautiful. I mean, the way this male main character just spurts this poetry. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
So we're really excited for Elyse to finish the whole book so that we can give a honest and unhinged review of it. Another thing is, if you're watching us on YouTube, you will see we are sans hat today.
Yeah.
I was finally able to wash my hair, and I just want to give a shout out to my wonderful husband because he has taken such good care of me. This man has examined the wound so many times, multiple times a day, telling me, it's healing really, really well, as he has zero medical training.
Dr. Justin, yes.
Dr. Justin has been awesome. I just want to say we harp on and on about these, amazing fictional men. And I think it's every now and then we need to give a shout out to the real ones that are in our lives.
We're pretty lucky to have two very lovely real men in our lives.
Exactly. Just a little warm fuzzy to start the episode.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of emotion.
Oh, a lot happens in these chapters. It was great. The story's finally picking up.
Yeah, it's definitely picking up. The angst is angsting less.
Yeah. We're making some progress in the angst department.
Yeah.
So,
what about you? What else do you want to share from the last few days?
I don't know. I'm drowning in work right now, so I'm don't have much else to share. So it's all right. I just have a really big costume contract right now, so I'm just trying to get through it. But we will prevail.
We will. We will power through one more month.
Yeah.
And you'll be free.
Exactly. Free to read as much as I want to.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
All right.
Chapter 16.
Violet is still trying to research the wards, and during a visit to the archives finds out that Jacinia is on her side. We see the first day of challenges, and Violet makes progress with Sloane. The chapter ends with Varish punishing Violet by making sure she will not get to see Xaden that week. Boo.
The pre-chapter blurb this week comes from Recovered, correspondence of Lieutenant Xaden Ryerson to Cadet Violet Sorengale. And it says, quote, "My dad hoped I'd go into the infantry like he did. He thought riders were pompous pricks, and in his defense, we really are."
Why did I think that he was a rider?
Because his
Xaden's
grandfather was a rider.
I just assume his dad was too.
Yeah.
Reading that, I was like, wait, was this mentioned before? Did I miss something?
No, it was not mentioned before.
I was shocked.
Yeah, it's a surprise.
I just expected him to be a rider too. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely explained later on in this chunk of chapters why most of the rebellion was, and most of leadership in other provinces is infantry rather than riders. So the scene opens, and Violet's like, if I can't see Xaden, might as well be productive and do some research. So she finds Jacinia working at the table in the archives with Effie, who had shared with her notes from the RSC exercise because Jacinia is helping her file the report. Violet reads over the notes and is impressed by the accuracy as well as the level of observation. Effie noted things that Violet hadn't even, which is funny because Violet usually is a super kind of
And Jacinia says something that I thought was worth noting. She says, quote, "The tricky thing is to capture the truth and not just interpretation. Stories can change depending on who tells them." And
I noted
just,
that
like,
too.
Screaming.
I was like, oh, can it?
Oh my God. And it's something we've talked about before, just how history can be manipulated just by point of view. And it's
well, they say history is written by the victors.
Yeah. There you go. Mm-hmm. Anyway, this whole exchange with Jacinia just made me had me jumping in my seat. I was so happy. I'm like, finally.
I mean, it just goes to show that the immense risk that leadership is taking, because people, they're not giving people credit for their level of intellect, their critical thinking skills, and especially scribes who are taught to think and to analyze and to interpret. I don't know.
Which, in the Rider Squadron anyway, we've kind of seen evidence of they are taught a certain way and that is how they think. Because when they finally, in the first book, when they go see Mira and she's asking all these questions, all their answers are so by the book. So it's leadership has managed to warp these minds or mold these minds into what they need them to be. Yeah. And they don't tend to look outside that. Whereas scribe might be taught differently. I don't know, but we don't really know how they're taught. So
yeah, we don't really get that much into their education. Violet asks Jacinia what book Jacek requested that got him hauled away and killed. And sweet, gentle Jacinia had no idea Jacek had been killed. And she tells Violet that he'd been looking for an account of a border attack that doesn't exist. Yeah. Big eyes emoji. He
insisted that he had family that died in that attack.
So when you heard about this attack, who do you think instigated the attack? Do you think it was Boromir? Do you think it was another?
Oh, I didn't really think about it, but I kind of assumed it was one of the Venom attacks, I guess. Because why else would they erase it?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, we already know that, basically anytime there's Venom involved, they either erase the account or chalk it up to being Griffin Riders.
Exactly.
So, anyway, I don't know.
So, basically, Jacinia had recorded the request and sent it up the chain of command because that's what she thought she was supposed to do. And she's absolutely devastated to learn that her actions resulted in another person's death. And it just kind of... We're feeling in this book, the stakes generally are lifted. Higher? Yeah. They've been raised. Thank you. Because, Rhiannon has noticed this whole issue with Nolan. Yeah. We have Varys, who's, a new factor in the situation. And then now the result of a request to the archives is someone's death.
Yeah, which is a huge red flag in itself. And that's kind of goes back to what I was saying last week of the way Navarre and leadership is acting is so reactive to a point that it's showing the cracks. And people are going to start noticing something like that. Jacinia didn't know, but now that she knows, obviously
the
she's
cogs are going to start.
Wait a minute. Yeah. And which obviously we do see her cogs are turning, but it's just they're not doing it in a subtle way anymore. They're panicking and they're kind of slipping up a bit.
Well, it's from the beginning, the first episode we did for season 2, when Brennan is saying he thinks that they've got 6 months, I'm sure leadership knows that as well. And so that desperation.
That panic,
exactly. Violet realizes that could have been her, but Jacinia hadn't recorded her request for the book on the Fables of the Baron. Why?
I know. Well, I mean, she does say it.
Yeah.
She ends up saying she felt embarrassed that she couldn't find it. She thought it was her own failing, but then she started realizing wait, why isn't it here? This is supposed to be the most complete library we have. So already that sparked interest in her and she started doing her own research.
Yeah.
I was so proud of her.
For sure. Especially because she didn't recognize the word wyvern and she had to spell it out because obviously they don't have a word for this.
It's been erased from or was never made into sign.
Exactly.
Is, again, huge red flag.
Totally.
Why are you hiding it? Why doesn't the word exist? And I'm just so proud of her.
Same. And she even says, had it been any other rider, I would have thought they were mistaken or confused or misremembering. But I know you, Violet, and that's not you. So she really took it seriously. Violet tells her that she had found her own copy, and Jesinia makes the logical leap that this means, like you said, the archives are incomplete.
Yeah.
And Jesinia even divulges that she had requested copies from other libraries, but apparently the Basgiath archives are the most complete, and if they don't have it, then
no,
whatever. This is obviously potentially treasonous, the whole request about the Book of Folklore.
Yeah.
And at the very least, it's, extremely dangerous. So Violet asked Jesinia what excuse she used to kind of cover up the request of the other libraries, because obviously if this is a book that's forbidden because it's not in the archives at Basgiath, then if someone else is like, oh, why is this scribe asking for this book? Like, she needs to cover her butt, And Jesinia is so clever. She tells Violet, quote, I implied that it was a personal passion to collect forgotten folklore from the border regions. What? A specific passion?
Yeah, I mean, I think it works in a way.
No, totally.
Like,
it was very
smart. Hobby. Yeah, it was
completely
clever. I liked it.
Yeah. Then she implies that she was considering compiling a new tome of folklore for her third year.
Right.
So she's really laying it on thick, but like in the best way possible.
Yeah.
It really adds credibility to her request.
Yeah.
And Jesinia tells her, like, don't worry, I have not recorded any of your requests this year, which is, really shocking.
Which we read in a pre-chapter blurb a while
punishable.
back that it's punishable. Like, so she's not doing her job properly. She could get in a lot of trouble for this.
Yeah.
But, like, obviously she knows she shouldn't be recording these requests because she knows something's up.
Absolutely. Like I asked you last week, do we think we have an ally in Jesinia? Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah. They keep kind of talking, and Jesinia says, like, look, just tell me what you're looking for. Because if you're thinking the same thing I am, like, we might be onto something. And Violet asks her, like, what are you thinking? And she says, quote, that our archives are incomplete, either by ignorance or intention. And, like, that just seals the deal. Jesinia is on board. She totally gets it. And she kind of figured it out on her own. So Violet didn't even have to tell her, so she didn't have to break promises of keeping things secret, and has an ally now in a very important position.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's very exciting.
The next thing that happens is super important, and I think is a mark against Violet, who hated being underestimated, because Violet tells Jesinia that helping her could be dangerous for her, and Jesinia is like, I can handle myself. And I think that, it comes back a little bit later again with Jesinia, but Violet, her like underlying gripe in this whole situation is that the choice was taken away from her, and the power to make this decision was taken away from her, and people are underestimating her ability to shield her mind, participate, protect herself, blah 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 blah, and here she is doing the same thing to other people. Anyway,
yeah, I mean, we were also saying the other day of how her keeping secrets from Rhiannon is the exact same thing what Xaden was doing to her. So it's just like, when are you going to get it, Violet?
I know. I think it's just so easy to have this double standard when it's your feelings versus someone else's.
Yeah. And, I mean, she's always been very good-natured and protective and wanting the best for others. So, like, I get why she's feeling that way, or why she's wanting to protect her friends. But it's kind of like, okay, Violet. Anyway, it's okay. We make progress in that department.
Yeah, slowly. Violet informs Jesinia that she needs the most comprehensive text that Jesinia could find on how the first six built the ward. So again, we're talking about the first six. So I told you they are going to be a very important part of this book. The older the book that Jesinia can find, the better. She agrees, but tells her she can only risk one book at a time and only on Saturdays. Very important that they only meet up to exchange books on Saturdays, because this is the day that the archives are the most quiet.
Yeah.
Then Jesinia asks her for something in return. Violet's like, yeah, no problem, but we don't know what that is yet.
I wonder, total side note, I wonder if Rebecca is going to release the Fables book.
Oh, kind of like
the way
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And,
exactly. Like, all
and
of
Quidditch.
them.
Is there a book, Quidditch to the Ages? I think there is one, yeah.
There's Care
Magical Creatures.
And then the Fables, the tales of...
Beetle the Bard.
Yeah. It'd be cool. Anyway, to it, Rebecca.
The scene changes, and we are now at challenges.
Yes.
And Violet is very confident that Sloane will win, despite being piss poor at sparring. And meanwhile, she's thinking back to the last letter Xaden had left her, which gives some background on his relationship with Aya. And I love that the last one was his relationship with Garrick. This one's his relationship with another marked one. Xaden and Aya have known each other since they were 10. Her mother was active in the government of Tairn, holding a council seat, even though she was a rider, which is uncommon, like we were talking about before. And I think it's so clever that these letters are being used as a way to give us more information about the characters and the world building without it feeling heavy or kind of like obvious.
Yeah. And I also just love that he's writing her letters.
Me too.
I love it so much.
I mean, I'm such a mush. Like, I love anything romantic, but a sweet message or a letter or something like that just so really, sweet, it goes such a long way. So basically, most of the aristocracy chooses to serve in the infantry. We were kind of this is tying us back to the pre-chapter blurb because they only have a few years of service, which I think is really interesting versus the lifetime of service that riders are committed to give. Rhiannon asks Violet about Xaden and tells Violet how Nolan had been seen by Riddick the day before, and he looked really bad. So now we're getting this like level of intrigue, I think, with what's going on with Nolan.
I know.
And why is he looking so haggard? Because this has to be a more intense mending that he's performing because...
Yeah, we'll find out.
We will find out. Well, actually, we won't find out, but...
Well, he lets slip some important info. Anyway.
Okay. The sparring matches are ongoing, and Riddick and Sawyer are rating the fights from the sidelines, which I find absolutely hilarious. And Sawyer kind of slips in there that he's convinced they're using Nolan to hear a torture victim. Forgetting what you know later on in the chunk of chapters, what do you think about this potential?
I think there was already some sort of, like, alluding to it being torture related, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I was kind of running with that theory until
later on
speak to Nolan, and then I was like, oh my god. Anyway.
Stay tuned for later in the episode. They're watching Arik fight, and Rhiannon notes his skill, and Violet's like, well, yeah, if you got the best tutors. And I just thought to myself, real rich coming from the girl who was personally trained by Xaden Ryerson.
It's true, though. I didn't even think of that. I was actually more like questioning, like, oh, would they like train all the princes to be really good fighters? Like, I don't know. Like, how involved are the dad seems pretty useless. Like, he's never fought a war.
Yeah.
You know? So, anyway.
Well, maybe he expressed an interest, and once he expressed the interest, he was going to.
Yeah. That's funny. Xaden definitely would be the best tutor.
In more ways than one. Sloane gets called up to the mat, and Violet's about to tell Rhiannon how she knows Sloane will win, but she decides against it, telling her, quote, if you don't know, then you won't have to feel guilty about reporting it. So everyone's really nervous about Sloane, and we got Rhiannon, we've got Quinn, we've got Imogen. And remember, Quinn is the one that was like, oh, don't get attached to first years.
Yeah, but she's
meanwhile, Quinn's like,
yeah. But I think everyone was so taken by Liam that everyone is invested in Sloane because it was...
Yeah,
everyone loves Liam.
I know, so sad. But what they don't know is that Violet spiked the pastries that Sloane's opponent ate at breakfast.
But she it's funny because she had to like spike the whole squad's.
Yeah, because she didn't know which one the girl was going to pick.
So she just basically like made a batch of like scones or something, put ingredients in all of them so everyone could potentially be
she
affected.
did say later on that like the impact of the first wave of poison was just like an upset stomach, which like really is not a big deal.
It's just her attitude towards. She's like, well, I didn't know, so too bad.
It's so clever, honestly. I agree. Rebecca Yarros, round of applause because the thought to come up with a poison that has like it's like a 1-2 punch of the one being like relatively
whatever.
Yeah, harmless. And then having that second one that activates the first one. Yeah. Genius.
Yeah. So smart. The whole poisoning and challenges thing is fantastic because it's been different every time.
Yeah.
So it's really clever.
The creativity is top notch.
I agree.
Sloane wins a fight. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
But like barely.
Yeah.
It was not a landslide victory here.
Yeah, they even say, I think she ends the fight with like a chokehold on the person. And they were like, not a great chokehold.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for the poison, there is no way Sloane would win.
Imogen confronts Violet about how she did it. And when Violet says, quote, what needed to be done, Imogen's like, you sound like Xaden, which she means as a compliment. And then this makes me so weepy. She says, Liam is immeasurably grateful right now.
I know.
Tears.
Tears. I know. Imogen has some great parts in this next, chunk of chapters.
I know. I love how we call them chunks of chapters. Like that's
we always say that. Eh?
I know.
It's a chunk.
So any merch that we come out with later, it's going to say park and it's going to say chunk of chapters. Violet runs over to Sloane and Imogen follows, and she tells her that she only won because Violet took her opponent out for her before the match even started.
Yeah.
They argue back and forth, and Violet explains the genius about the poisons, and Imogen is capital impressed, putting 2 and 2 together and realizing that that's how Violet had made it through all of her challenges her first year.
She's like, you did that to me, essentially. Like, she doesn't say that, but she realizes it.
Did she?
I think so.
I don't think so. With Imogen, she tried to rile her up. Exactly.
It's true. Yeah. It's true.
My bad. I think she was too naive when it came to Imogen's sparring match, that she thought that she could just use her wits about her and like rile her up.
But I think it was also her first one.
It was her first one.
She didn't do the poisoning yet, maybe.
No, she didn't do the poisoning yet. I think she realized she needed to. I think it's when she returned from the infirmary that the Book of Brennan was under her pillow.
Right. So she didn't have
it yet. Yeah. Violet tells Sloane that she did it for Liam, that he was one of her closest friends, and she promised him while he was dying that she'd look after his sister.
Yeah.
And Sloane is like typical angry teenager.
But the way Violet says it is so like, ugh.
What do you mean?
Like her sentence, her choice of words. She said, he was one of my closest friends, and I promised him while he was fucking dying that I'd look after you. Like, imagine saying that to someone.
Well, I think she had just reached her limit.
It gave me the ick. Anyway, I agree. Sloane was being stubborn as hell. She's being a typical teenager. Like, I don't need your help. Liam didn't need your help.
I think it also could be maybe the way that you're reading it, because on the audiobook, they're like actually fighting. And so I think when she's like, I promised him while he was fucking dying, like it's more like, it's more
You're still
desperate.
talking about her brother dying. Like, ugh.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
I don't like it.
It didn't bother me. So Sloane, argues she doesn't need it. Imogen steps in and is like,
actually, Liam did need Violet's help, and she saved his life during war games. What do you think about that, Sloane?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, though, Violet is so filled with guilt and self-hatred over Liam's death that she's like, you can hate me, but you are going to train. Like, you are going to survive this. Like, we owe it to your brother.
Yeah.
And the idiocy of naivety that is Sloane. Quote, if it's Malik's will that I join my brother, then so be it. Liam didn't need help. That's kind of, sorry, we circled back.
Yeah.
Such business talk. But that sentence just made me
upset. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But then Violet's really clever.
Yeah.
And she basically
uses good old-fashioned blackmail.
Yeah, uses the letters that Liam wrote. She's like, I have 50 letters.
Yeah.
If you want them, you're going to train. After every training session, or after every week, I will give you one. And you're going to do whatever Imogen tells you to do. Like, I won't even be the one to train you, but you got to do the training. And then Sloane is still being a little baby, and she's like, those are rightfully mine. You can't. Anyway, I hope she grows up a little bit, but.
Well, so 2 thoughts come from that whole, thing that Violet tells her. Number 1, your development era. Is that not giving reputation era?
I did actually know when I read Era, I was like, oh, that's so funny.
Because Rebecca Yarros is a huge Swiftie.
I know. So, she said the next book is going to be based on reputation. No?
I know, I'm so excited. It's a great album.
It's a great album. I didn't listen to it when it first came out. I was like, it's not my vibe. And now I'm obsessed.
It is so empowering.
It's so good.
Yeah, I really like it. It's also, a few weeks ago, I talked about that the Taylor Swift podcast, and it just gave me such a new appreciation for all of the albums. Anyway,
I haven't listened yet, but I want to.
I think you'll enjoy it. The other thing she says that I think is really interesting, and also is probably a lesson she got from Xaden, is she says her priority is that Sloane gets trained. She doesn't care who trains her, as long as the outcome is that she gets trained. And if you remember in Fourth Wing, that's the exact same thing that Xaden did. Xaden only cared that Violet improved and she could protect herself and she could make it through the quadrant. He eventually did take over. But at first...
Yeah. He put all the pieces into play around her, and I agree.
Yeah. I love the respect Imogen shows Violet after this whole encounter, telling her, quote, I see it now, why Xaden fell for you.
I know.
Swoon.
So good.
Yeah.
next part, we're with Jacinia, and she's giving Violet the books on the first 6 and the wards. But Violet hasn't found, like, she's reading everything. She's not finding any of the info she wants. And what Jacinia asked for in exchange was the Book of Fables. So she is handing over, which could be potentially really risky.
Yeah.
This book that is nowhere to be found in Navarre to Jacinia.
Yeah.
But we trust Jacinia, so it should be okay in her hands. Then Varish shows up at her door while she's about to go on a trip with Tairn to check her bags like normal. And Violet is like super aware that she can't touch Varish. Like the whole time she's like keeping her distance. Like she does not trust the guy. She doesn't want him to give him access to the wards.
Exactly. Yeah. The access to the wards.
Yeah. He also gives me the ick for talking about feeling icky. But yeah, so he checks her bags again. There's nothing in it. And he's like, well, nothing this time. And he insists that he's the one to walk her to Tairn.
I just think that this is all so, like, there's such villain energy. I love that he comes, he always has henchmen. He has the henchmen check her stuff. Like, you know, it's just so bad guy.
In this chunk of chapters, it's giving Voldemort. Like, he's so obsessed with this young child. I mean, she's not a child. I know she's an adult, but like this young girl, and he's just obsessed. He cannot think of anything else. All he wants to do all he wants to do is like terrorize her and like take her down. It's giving Voldemort.
Yeah. It's not cute.
It's really, really not cute.
Get a life, Varish.
And he makes, on their walk and stuff, he makes like a lot of shitty comments. He's like, funny that most seem to be focused on those of you who disappeared during war games, don't you think? And he also says, I noticed your squad didn't have flight maneuvers this week. Like, he keeps like jabbing her, and he fully knows what he's doing, and I hate him. Anyway.
But the thing is, he also isn't really being smart, because the whole idea of like, oh, it's those people that were with you in war games, he's showing his hand. Yeah. Like, they already think that they're being targeted, but now you're just confirming it.
Yeah. Like, I think it's a game for him, though. Like, he's reveling in this. Like, he doesn't want Andarna to show up. He wants her to not show up so he gets to torture Violet. Yeah.
You don't think that he's curious about Andarna?
Oh, he's probably curious about Andarna, but I think he is reveling in torturing Violet. Like, this is his game. This is what he wants. This is what he likes. That's what, like, checking her bag every week for the potential that he's going to find evidence, be it a book or weapons or something that she's up to, or a letter. Like, I don't know. I think he's enjoying this game.
Oh, he's definitely enjoying this game.
And, like, obviously he is interested in Andarna, but I don't know if it outweighs the pleasure he gets from torturing Violet.
Maybe. It's so funny. You struggle so much to say Andarna.
Yeah. Do I pause before I say it every time?
No, it's just I notice it every time. It's like...
That's funny.
It's like when I want to say the Riders Quadrant, I always stumble over like
Rider. That's funny. Varish doesn't find anything. She goes off to Samara, and only to find out that Xaden is on 24-hour duty, and she will not get to spend any time with him because he's in a place that she doesn't have clearance.
Yeah. For. So her vibes last week were right.
Yeah. How did she know? How did she get those vibes?
I think that she just had a feeling that they're going to be... I mean, she said it...
Yeah, she literally says,
they're keeping us apart.
I won't... Yeah, I guess because she figured leadership wouldn't let them see each other. I guess that makes sense in that context. Anyway, Navarre just needs to not, like, let shitty people have power. It's really upsetting.
Yeah.
Like, everyone knows how shitty Varish is, and he's just walking around like he's king of Vizcaya.
You just have to think, why? Who's giving him this power?
Well, who has the power? Melgren?
Panchak.
Panchak
is the commandant.
Oh, okay, he's the...
Varish is his
I don't know the
vice commandant.
Order of power in this place, but anyway, they all suck.
They do. Awards.
Awards. Most romantic line. I see it now. What? I ask. Why Xaden fell for you. Truthfully, she puts her hands up. You're fucking clever. Way more clever than I give you credit for. I bet you keep him constantly annoyed. And a smile beams across her face. How glorious.
Love that. Mine is when Violet is talking to Sloane, and she said, "You're right, he would, and I miss him every single day. And because of the love I have for him, it's okay that you hate me. You can think whatever you need about me if it gets you through the day, Sloane, but you're going to train. You're going to accept help."
Love that.
Yeah.
So good.
What was your funniest line?
"I'll snack if he makes a move."
Love it. Love it. Mine was just the whole interaction with Sawyer and Riddick rating the sparring matches. I just thought that was so funny.
I had that originally. Yeah, it was really funny. Spiciest?
"I'll definitely apologize to Malik when we meet. If you want his letters, you'll train for them."
Nice. I put sassy as well. "Not sure I'd ever call assaults funny," I reply, "and I don't need an escort."
To Varish.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Take him down. Chapter 17. Imogen and Violet chat about Xaden, which leads to an incredible tough love pep talk Violet really needed to hear. In battle brief, Violet is at the brink of exploding as she has to sit idly while Markham spews lies about propaganda. This sends her running into her happy place, the archives. But if she's not careful, she might just blow her cover. What happens? Every chapter is
I know.
Boom, boom.
I know. That's this whole book. This book is action-packed.
Great. I love it.
Yeah. The pre-chapter blurb comes from The Sacrifice of Dragonkind by Major Deandra Naveen. And it says, quote, "Many historians choose to ignore the sacrifices made by both humans and dragonkind to establish Navarre under the First Wards in favor of praising the spirit of unification. But I would be remiss not to mention the losses suffered, both in terms of the ancestral hatching grounds of each dragon breed and the civilians who did not survive the continent-wide migration that resulted from the opening of Navarre's borders, or those lost when we closed them." So I just want to point something out here because we know about the fact that there's different colored dragons, and these are obviously different breeds of dragons, but it's interesting that they now all live under one government in one veil, the Empyrean, whereas in the past...
They had separate hatching grounds. Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to point out too. Like, I didn't know that. I just assumed they all... Because everyone always talks about, like, the veil.
Exactly.
You know, so...
Well, I mean, it has been there for 600 years, but...
Yeah, but still... be interested in learning more about dragon history.
For sure.
Do they have scribes in dragon in the Empyrean too?
Yeah, it's so interesting to see how that government would be made up.
Yeah.
Like composed.
Yeah.
The chapter opens with Imogen and Violet walking a battle brief discussing the intentional procrastination of flying maneuvers in an attempt to give Andarna more time. Meanwhile, Tairn is going to the Empyrean, but nothing can be done until she wakes up. And my question is, why? Yeah. Why can nothing be done? Like, what do you mean? They know. So the Empyrean must know that Violet's being punished to protect Andarna. But why can nothing be done by the Empyrean until Andarna wakes up? Is it because it would reveal too much about the dreamless sleep?
Oh, I thought he just meant, like, it doesn't really matter because Andarna can't show up until she's done growing.
Yeah, but you would think that maybe the Empyrean would step in and they would decree something. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I understood it differently. Oh. Like, I understood it as nothing can be done. Like, Andarna needs to sleep. Nothing can be done about Andarna. So it doesn't matter.
I completely agree with that. I just thought, I guess maybe I interpreted it differently.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah. But I think that's why he went to go talk to them, because he's like, look, this is happening.
Yeah, she's getting punished and she's doing the right thing, basically, for our kind.
And then I would assume what came of that is he was given permission to intervene, because in the next part, he intervenes.
Does he ever?
So good.
Yeah. Imogen asks how things are with Xaden, and Violet's like, what? Are we talking about my relationship now? And Imogen's like, only for the length of this walk, because I noticed you're still pushing your friends away, which is a mistake. So I think it's really interesting because, Xaden's advice about keeping your friends away or lying to them, I think is like... It's very easy for him to say because his support system all are in on the secret. So for him, I understand that, he lied or he told selective truths to Violet, but for the most part, he's had people he could talk to about the struggles or his concerns or his fears or whatever, She's completely alone. Yes, okay, she's got Bodhi, she's got Imogen, but her friends that are not Xaden's friends exactly, who became her friends.
Yeah.
I just think Imogen probably has a lot more grace for the...
Yeah, she was there. Difficulty. She was there with her. She knows she's feeling the same things. She's feeling she went through the same motions. Like I mean, obviously she seems to be like a guarded person, but it's nice that once in a while she's like, okay, fine, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, like she's not like a mushy person, but.
So Violet tells her that Xaden had instructed her to keep this secret. So Imogen's like, it's a mistake. And she's like, yeah, but Xaden told me to do this. And in the letter he wrote her, it confirms what we were just talking about before, which is that leadership is purposefully keeping them apart.
Yeah.
As punishment. And Imogen's like, wait, hold up.
Yeah.
That's weird. Xaden writes you letters?
Yeah.
And she's like, you're going to let him off the hook eventually, right? Because she knows this guy and she can't believe that this...
He's like writing letters.
Yeah. Looks like he can kill you, but is a cinnamon roll.
He is a cinnamon roll.
He's such a cinnamon roll. I love it. Then they have this really weird conversation.
It's so bad.
I know. It's really
so
funny.
bad.
I know.
You know how there's like theories that Rebecca Yarros used AI to write?
Yeah.
Like this analogy sounds like AI wrote it. I'm not actually accusing her of using AI. I'm saying it's so terrible. It is such a bad... No, it doesn't work at all. It's terrible.
Like battle axes and armoires. It's just such a weird analogy.
It has nothing to do with keeping secrets or like... Oh, I don't even know what she was thinking. The book is fantastic, but this... oh my God. I was like, there's no comparisons between an axe falling out of an armoire and someone keeping secrets from you.
I know.
I can't draw any... Anyway, whatever.
Violet's like, is it normal to have secrets? And Imogen goes, quote, you didn't want normal. If you did, you'd be in a relationship with Atos. Or hell, anyone else in this place, but you wanted Ryerson. If you didn't think the man was hiding more than a few battle axes, then you're mad at the wrong person because you lied to yourself. Imogen is the real MVP.
So good.
She is putting in the work to put Xaden and Violet back together.
I know. And I hate that this thought crossed my mind, but I was like reading it and I was like, Imogen's fantastic. Like she's quickly becoming one of my favorite characters. And simply for that reason, I feel like Rebecca Yarros is going to kill her off. And I hate that crossed my mind, but it's
not an unreasonable thought.
It's just how the world works. Like you have a side character and then just as they're getting to be the best, they die. Anyway, moving on.
Well, non-spoiler, spoiler alert. She doesn't die in this chunk of chapters.
Well, no, she doesn't. So I just fear...
You are safe for another week.
I fear that it's coming. It's impending
Every
death.
week we're going to have like our is Imogen alive check.
Anyway, she really is like opening up and becoming such a great character. And it's like a bit sad because I was kind of hoping this is the relationship we were going to get from Rhiannon. But maybe we'll get there.
Maybe. As they arrive at the classroom, Imogen imparts on Violet actually meaningful advice. She says, everyone fails LandNav the first time. You need to worry more about the interrogation portion of RSC rather than wallowing in self-pity for having failed LandNav, and that she doesn't need to freeze everyone out. Violet bumps into Rhiannon, who seems really concerned over something she received from her parents. Apparently, these leaflets are being circulated around their village, warning them to beware of strangers seeking shelter. Professor Markham snatches at the paper and ends up using it as a part of his lesson in Battle Brief.
My blood was just boiling along with Violet's during this whole chapter. Oh, it's so frustrating. Like, it's not bad enough that they have closed their borders and like pushed all these people who used to be part of Navarre because Navarre was bigger. They tightened their borders and we're just like, too bad we can't save you. And now they're like rejecting these poor people who are just trying to seek asylum because of the terror that is beyond the words. And it's just so frustrating. And then Markham uses it to spread propaganda, basically, to like use it as proof
of what's so dangerous.
And like...
Isn't this so real-life coded? I mean, we're
so
really
real-life coded.
We're really lucky here in Canada. Immigration is welcomed for the most part. I actually just listened to an old Freakonomics radio episode about immigration and why so many people are immigrating to Canada. And they said, like, our immigration system is really different than the one in the U.S. Granted, we have frozen, barren wastelands to the north. Like, there's really nobody there.
Very few people live up there.
Exactly. And to the south, we've got the U.S., and there's an ocean on both sides of our shores. So in terms of, like, illegal immigration or people seeking asylum, here, like, that's not really a thing by, like, crossing, like, a land border.
But we do have programs in place to bring people who are seeking asylum in other places.
Yeah,
like
and we have
countries.
a really high proportion of our, I think we accept like 500,000 immigrants a year, which compared to our population, which recently hit 40 million.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think like the U.S. accepts a million immigrants, but they have 300 million people. So our proportion is really high, but that's also because our culture here is really big on immigration and whatever. Like you walk around a city like Montreal and you're hearing a ton of different languages. Yeah. We've got so many different cuisines. It's the type of place where
we're like a big melting pot of culture.
Yeah.
Here.
Like I think in that episode they were saying how like when people come to the US it's like this whole thing about like becoming American, whereas here, okay, like you're becoming Canadian, but everybody maintains their
Oh yeah. I mean, just if you look at the central part of the city alone, like you have little districts of all these different countries.
Yeah.
So representing different cultures. So
anyway, not to get political or anything, but I just think that this is really relevant to the real world.
Yeah.
A student volunteered that the answer is that Navarians don't know the foreigners' intentions. Like that's why it's dangerous. But Violet gets to thinking, when did they close their borders? And she starts getting worked up about, the fact that they closed their borders and what the result of this is on innocent people, and her power starts to rise. And another student calls out that this could be a new tactic to infiltrate their outposts under false pretenses. And this is like another thing that I just hate because it just villainizes people who are just desperate. Like my family came to this country because my dad's family came to this country because there was a full-on war.
Yeah.
Bombs were being dropped. And my mom's family came because the country was becoming nationalized. Like they were nationalizing different factories. Like her uncle literally overnight lost his factory. And it was just not a place that they saw a future anymore because it's so unstable. Like there are some countries, I have an old colleague who lived in Côte d'Ivoire and he had a very successful career there, and he said, but you know what, overnight like my land could be taken away from me, like I would have no home.
I mean, on my side it's a generation further. Like my grandparents came here from Italy at the tail end of the World War because my grandfather had to serve as he was like a cook in the war anyway, so they came, but then on Scott's side, his grandparents had lived in Prague, and their apartments literally taken away from them by the Nazis, and they had to seek asylum, so they came here. So it's a generation removed, but neither of us would be here
if it weren't for immigration. And our families came here, and they provided society with a benefit. Like they're contributing members of society, and we are now contributing members of society. So I just think it's a great thing, and
absolutely.
Just to say that, like, people are trying to infiltrate an outpost under false pretenses is just so... I mean, I don't blame this kid. Like, obviously, he's been taught this, and he's been taught to fear the Purumish and whatever, but it's just have a bit of grace for people because you never know what it's like to fear for your life and
just have...
not fear for your future and want to give your family a better life.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a last resort, too. Like, people... I think most people wouldn't leave their home if they didn't feel pushed and needed to. Like it's, anyway.
Like my grandparents, I encourage you, our listeners, if you have members of your family who came to your country from somewhere else or whatever, I really encourage you to have these conversations with them because you would be so surprised that I actually made it my mission to sit with my grandfather and because I go visit my grandparents very often, but we talk about like random things. And I just made it my mission to sit with my grandfather and have him tell me his life story. And I learned my grandfather was a pilot in the Egyptian Air Force. So he told me war stories and stories about his military school experience and, all these things. And my grandfather ended up like working his way. He was, successful in the military. Back then they had a driver, they had a maid, they lived a fantastic life. My grandparents would go out dancing multiple nights a week and they would host and they'd have parties and they'd do all these like amazing things back in Egypt. And then they decided that they were going to leave in order to, have a safer and better life here in Canada. And my grandfather got here and he would tell me like, we would eat canned pasta, or canned beans multiple nights a week because we couldn't afford groceries. Yeah. And he had to just like slog at building his life back up here when he had 2 kids, a wife, all these things. So it's really interesting to have those stories be told now that he's an old man and he had, he worked his way up. He became a diplomat with the United Nations. It's called the ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization. So he's like, his life is so fascinating, but like I just know him as my grandfather, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, I would just encourage you to have these types of conversations because I think it's really cool. You learn a lot. You have so much respect for the people that you only know in this like one way. And it just increases the grace and empathy you would have for other people who come here. I mean, you have a conversation with your taxi driver, with like your Uber driver, whatever. Like the stories these people have and the sacrifices that they're making, the downgrade to their lifestyle that is being made in order to provide their children with opportunity or to provide themselves with safety or whatever.
Absolutely. I mean, even just immigrating now, like career people who have like degrees and stuff come here and they have to redo school. Like it's not an easy choice to make.
No. My other grandfather had to redo his whole engineering experience.
Exactly.
He was the president of an engineering company in Egypt and had to come back here and go to McGill and
Yeah. So
shocking.
Like you said, like have grace.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. That's like my morality corner, Myriam's morality corner.
Politics and morality. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So Violet's freaking out.
Yeah.
And I was stressed along with her, and it started to feel almost like a psychological thriller because like she's in a room and all these people are spewing hate towards to another population of people that they don't really know the truth about. And like the teacher keeps like
egging them on
and laying on lies. And like Violet knows it's not true. And she's just like fizzling. And it was very psychological thriller vibes, but she freaks out. She leaves class, runs outside and just releases her power, just like lightning. And Rhiannon sees it and she asks her if she's okay. But Violet brushes her off again. And I was just like, could have been such a moment. She could have
but she wasn't in the right headspace maybe.
I guess. Anyway, it's just in this moment I started to worry, like, at what point is it going to be too late? Like, Rhiannon has been very patient and really trying.
Yeah.
And I was just like, is this going to be the one that's just, like, too little, too late? Anyway, Violet, in her tizzy, rushes to the archives and accidentally interrupts a class.
Yeah.
Which is super awkward, but also super risky and potentially life-threatening to both her and Jasenia. And anyway, Jasenia, super clever, plays it off. She's like, she's just a
impatient
writer. I'm going to go deal with this. But she's like, dude, you cannot come here. You can only come here Saturdays. Anyway, it's scary. I'm afraid it might come back and bite them in the butt. But she returns the book. And then they set a new date, like, okay, Saturday we'll meet for the next one and everything. But I don't know. It's scary. I'm like, who saw her go? Who saw the exchange? Like, it just was a scary moment from Violet.
Yeah. But Jasenia even asks her, like, what will happen if you can't find whatever it is that you're looking for?
Yeah.
And Violet's response is, people will die. And in any other context, I'd be like, this is very melodramatic. But in this case, it is not. No, it is very accurate.
True. Yeah, it's very true. It's exactly what's going to happen. Like, a lot is at stake.
But this is what I wanted to come back to when we were talking about earlier. She asks another very important question. She says, have you told your squad mates? And Violet responds, quote, I can't let anyone else die because of me. I already put you in too much danger. And I want to highlight this and scream it from the rooftops. Jasenia tells her, you gave me a choice. Don't you think they deserve the same? Yeah, Violet.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very good point.
Words.
Most romantic. I
don't have one.
Okay. That's the only one I have.
Really?
But I took it as a tough love perspective.
Yeah.
So it's kind of what you said. It's the one you said before, I think, though. You didn't want normal. If you did, you'd be in a relationship with Atos or hell, anyone else in this place. But you wanted Ryerson. If you think the man was hiding more than a few... If you didn't think the man was hiding more than a few battle axes, you're mad at the wrong person because you lied to yourself. So, tough love, but she needed to hear it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, well, I have a funniest line. It's when Imogen says... Exactly. Does he strike you as a letters kind of guy? He's not even a talking kind of guy.
That is funny.
And then my spiciest line was a spicy sassy. And it's when Violet like finds herself in the archives and is like, oh, what the heck? How did I get here? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Tairn tells her mind to mind, you've apparently lost all common sense with your control and regressed to where you think you can locate it. Because the archives is always her safe place.
Yes. Chapter 18. Xaden is back just in time to discover what Violet's been researching. This makes them continuously argue about their relationship and trust. We finally get a glimpse at Nolan, and he lets slip that he's restoring someone's soul. Xaden heads back to Samara, and Violet and him are not any better off than when the chapter started. Boo.
I actually think they're worse off, but better off as a result of being worse off, if that makes sense. Like, I think it's really important that they actually had a fight.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Very, very good point.
Thank you. The pre-chapter blurb is a mouthful, so bear with me. It comes from The Journey of the First Six, a secondhand account by Sagar Olson, first curator of the Scribe Quadrant, Basgiath War College, translated into the common language by Captain Madeline Calros, 12th curator of the Scribe Quadrant. I said scribe. Basgiath War College, translated and redacted for academic consumption by Colonel Phineas Cartland, 27th curator of the Scribe Quadrant, Basgiath War College. So this has been... Like, this is broken telephone, okay? So let's keep that in mind.
When I saw that chunk, my brain just went, nope. I didn't even bother. That is far too many names.
Anyway, I did my best.
Good for you.
Thank you. It says, quote, "It was only when we pushed the wards to their true limits, extending them far past what we first thought possible and to what I now question as sustainable, that we defined the borders of Navarre, regretfully knowing not every citizen would benefit from their protection."
Yeah, so basically they're just admitting that they shrunk their borders and too bad for the people on
the outside.
Well,
it was only because that was as far as the wards would go.
I know, but they cut off a lot of people in doing so.
Yeah. Anyway, Xaden's back! Oh,
no. That's so funny. I wrote Xaden's here, all in caps.
And I wrote Xaden's back, all in caps.
But he's looking tired.
Yeah.
He looks like he could use some rest. But I love how, like, he gets there and he like puts his bag down and it's just their little routine. They're so comfortable in each other's space. And it's just like, I'm happy he's back. Anyway.
Yeah. Violet tells him like maybe you should take a nap because she's trying to sneak away to go see Jasenia. Basically, she wasn't expecting him to come home so soon. Yeah. And she is supposed to meet Jasenia in like 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. So she needs to find a way to like be a sneaky sneak, which hypocrisy.
Yeah. Keeping secrets.
Yep. Anyway. Like you said, I just love the way that they're talking to each other. They're like flirty but kind of shy. And Violet is fighting her attraction to this man. And I'm just shook. She like calls him beautiful and she's getting flustered when he takes his shirt off. And like, it's just, you really feel her internal conflict.
For sure. She can't like focus anymore. She's like trying to read, but it's like, it's
exactly.
Not.
Yeah. The tension mounts to a nearly untenable point. And Xaden tells her, say those 3 little words and I'll have you naked in seconds.
But she doesn't.
She tells him she wants him.
Yeah.
But he replies mind to mind, those are not the 3 words I want. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I love his communicativeness. Like, this is a guy who is trying so hard. And I'm sorry, like, this is a man written by a woman because how many men
would resist that long?
Would resist that long? Would be so forthcoming about their feelings, so vulnerable, just like so perfect.
He is perfect.
Then she has to go and ruin this moment by telling him, quote, well, those aren't the words you get without full disclosure. Violet! How many times does he have to tell her that it's not about her, number one? Xaden's told her it's not about her. Imogen's told her it's not about her.
I know.
So many people have told her it's not about you. Like, I'm not.
He never hid anything personal. Like, he never, like, his betrayal was so not anything relationship-wise, anything. Like, the only secrets he kept were the ones that he literally were not his to tell.
Exactly.
So it's like, get over it.
I know. Anyway, he goes off to shower. When he comes back, he notices all the books that are scattered in her room. And then he finds the book, The Journey of the First Six. And that's when she breaks down and tells him that she's researching the first 6 for Eratia, and then admits it's for him too. I just want them to get back together already.
Yeah. And he is not happy.
Yeah.
Shadows are brewing, and he's just like really angry because he doesn't want her to risk herself getting killed because she's researching the wrong things.
Yeah.
And like, which I understand, but at the same, like, I don't know.
He tells her that no one even knows how the wards were put up in the first place, and they only know how to maintain them. He says that it's a lost magic and that it was likely lost on purpose. And Violet argues, like, this is again where the little scribe in her comes out. She says the record is likely hidden instead of destroyed because it's the only thing that could save them. Like, and she's so right. It would be really, really dumb and very arrogant. And I know that writers are arrogant, but like supremely arrogant. To be like, oh, the wards are up. Like, we'll never need to put them back up again.
No, impossible.
Then they start arguing about how it's impossible to do this research without including a scribe. And that's when Violet's like, now that you mention it.
So Xaden, in the calmest way possible.
Which is super scary.
So scary. Asks, who knows? And I just love that he stays calm in his fight.
Meanwhile, I'm cowering in a corner.
It's terrifying.
It is so terrifying.
I love about it. Anyway, I mean, he has a point. Involving another person is potentially super risky, but like at the same time, I think at this he needs to trust Violet and trust her judgment in this situation.
But he doesn't trust her judgment because she has such a soft heart, and she trusted Dane, and he knew that Dane was untrustworthy. So maybe it's that. I'm not sure.
Did she trust Dane though?
She did. Of course she did. She let him touch her, and I don't know, like she gave him so many chances through all of Fourth Wing. So you just have to think that like he basically doesn't trust her as a judge of character.
Yeah. I guess she did try to always find excuses for Dane's behavior.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him in a while.
When Xaden tells her that the archives are the beating heart of their enemy, she tells him that she has a friend in the archives and she's going to be late for the meeting, so bye! Xaden's like, oh, no. I'm coming with you.
Yeah.
Their fight is interrupted by the squad, and they have a mind-to-mind fight in front of everyone, and I am squirming in secondhand cringe. Can you just imagine being Sawyer, Riddick, or Rhiannon just standing there watching like two people? Because like they're like, super close,
staring
like
at each other, like ready to like kill each other.
Just like think of the tension,
so funny.
Think of the anger radiating off of both of them, and having no idea what's going on. And also, when you think about it, did they even know that they could talk mind to mind? I don't think so.
I don't know if they knew.
But like they figured it out, obviously.
Because Riddick is like, I think they're fighting. Like he kind of pieces it together that they're mind to mind fighting. And such a funny interaction.
It is such a funny interaction. And so in the mind-to-mind fighting, Xaden is like obviously incredibly mad at her for keeping the research a secret. And she tells him mind-to-mind, quote, I haven't hidden shit from you. I've simply told you selective truths. Yeah. She is just throwing his crap back in his face. And I just wrote, ooh, how does it feel to get a taste of your own medicine, broody man?
But anyway, I like, yes, but at the same time, I was like, is it really the same?
It's really not the same thing. It's really not.
Because like we were saying before, it's like, it wasn't his secret to tell. Yeah. Like that's the underlying issue. Like, anyway.
She tells her friends that she wishes she could go with them, but she can't. And I cackled at this. Quote, I'll let you know if I need your help burying a body later. And Rhiannon looks at Xaden and is like, I think she might mean you.
Yeah, so good.
I just love when all like manners and civility go out the window when you're face to face with the boy who broke your best friend's heart.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. All the daggers. Yeah.
Everything, nothing's left on the table. Like you will do whatever it takes. Like even if you're a tiny girl and he's a big man.
And in that moment I was like, okay, Rhiannon still has space for Violet, because I was just saying I was like kind of getting worried about the relationship, and I was like, oh, she's got her back. Like
that friendship is solid.
It's great.
Anyway, Xaden goes back to turning me into a puddle when he tells Violet, quote, I'm pissed that you hid it from me, but I'm livid that you put your life at risk for me. That's not something I can handle. I mean, they both just love each other so much. And they're both just trying to protect the other person and like willing to make sacrifices that they're not accepting the other person to do on their own behalf. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. They're both mad at each other for the same things.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Violet allows Xaden to join her in her meeting with Jesinia, and he claims to be an incredible judge of character. Park.
Oh.
As they start walking, she tells him mind to mind, quote, just because I'm letting you come doesn't mean I'm not still pissed at you. And he's like, yeah, same. And every woman in the world in a relationship relates. Then he starts touching the small of her back, and she's like, quote, you don't have to touch me for them to think you have a reason to be here. Everyone knows we are ... Violet? ...
I love like a guiding hand.
Me too.
Yeah, obviously from the right person.
Yeah.
But like it's so like
it's like kind of protective, kind of possessive.
It's cute.
It's the best. But also anytime like I hear ... or whatever, think about ... I just think of Mamma Mia, and then we ... freaking love that movie.
Oh, so true. That's so funny.
And then he's like, knows we what? You've been pretty damn clear we're not together. And there's hurt in his voice.
I know. And then she can't even fight anymore because she's hurt that he's, like, she's sad that he's hurt.
I know.
She's just like, oh. Like, oh no.
They're just so in love.
They are. And then we finally run into Nolan in the hallway. And it's a super brief interaction, but basically he looks awful. They could tell he's lost weight. Like, he's obviously not sleeping, not eating properly, and has been overworked. And he says, it's hard work mending a soul.
Yeah.
So I was like, excuse me? Is he trying to restore a Venin? Who else has lost their souls?
I don't know.
That is my guess. It's so exciting. I just want to know. And then Carolyn Ashton, who you told me to park, it's a name I actually remembered.
Good.
Shows up and runs along with him. What's she doing?
I don't know.
What are they doing?
I don't know.
I want to know. Anyway, it was very exciting. I think he must be working on a Venin. And then I was like, oh my God, okay, sorry, my heart's like racing. I'm so excited.
I know, I can see your cheeks are getting more pink. Yeah. You're getting so riled up. And I wanted to let you like have this little rant because I know you've been waiting to have it. But I wanted to go back.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. You let me rant all the time, that I was 100% going to let you have this rant.
Thank you.
Okay. I wanted to just go back right before they bump into Nolan.
Yeah.
Violet whispers to Xaden, quote, you would never sit here and do nothing when you could help. Asking me to do differently is just insulting. I'm smart enough to handle myself in the archives.
Yeah.
And I turned into a puddle yet again because he goes, quote, I never said you weren't brilliant. I never even said your plan wasn't brilliant. I said you're putting yourself in danger, and I'm just asking you to be honest with me. Varys pushed you to near fucking burnout, and you didn't tell me that either, or that you wielded in the middle of the courtyard after battle brief. So I just wanted to point out, like, he's mad. He came to Basgiath mad at her already. Like, forget the books. The books are just cherry on top of the sundae. Like,
because he knows all these secrets that she's been keeping from him. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, do you think she should have told him about Varys?
Absolutely.
But when would she have told him?
I don't know. Have they not seen each other since that happened? He's been leaving her notes. She could have left him a note.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know. I think she should have. I'm actually surprised she didn't tell him. I mean, obviously, she knew he would just get mad and be like, she's like, oh, well, you were just, what are you going to do? Come and kill him? Like, that would be his response probably. But it's such a big, like, key to something bigger is at play here. Like, why wouldn't you share that information?
Yeah.
And the fact that everyone is being targeted, like, it feels very, again, bigger than just the both of you. Like, it's important information to be sharing. You?
I agree with you. I just wonder when she could have told him and in what context and in what format. Is it in a letter? Is it in a note? Because if it's in a letter, there's a chance that the letter gets confiscated or redacted. If it's in a note, I never thought about the note. The note was a good point.
Because no one else could get into the rooms as far as we think. Yeah. So.
Okay, so then you had your little breakdown over.
It was very exciting. It was like 2 paragraphs. Very exciting.
As they approach the archives, Violet is hit by a wave of grief, missing her father. And Xaden's ability to like read her body language is so impressive because he notices right away that her face fell. And anyway, I just thought that was a nice little tidbit.
Yeah, and I found I never fully thought about it until this was brought up. But like, it's so sad to think like, as she's reflecting, like this place that her dad dedicated his life to and loved so much is mostly a lie. And we know he kind of started cracking before he died. And like, I think that was him discovering that there were lies and things hidden and everything. And it's just like, I can't imagine, like, it's already world shattering for Violet, but he has committed so much of his life to being a scribe and being part of the problem essentially without fully knowing it. And then to have that like wool taken off your eyes, like, is that the expression? Anyway, to have that revealed to him, like, must have been so soul crushing. Yeah.
Anyway. Plus on top of that, grieving your son.
Like just your whole world is brought down.
Yeah. Violet reminds Xaden to be nice and tells him that if Jasenia weren't a trustworthy friend, she'd have turned her in when she requested the fables of the Baron last year, which she assures him that she hadn't thought anything of at the time because obviously she didn't know that the fables were real this time last year. Jasenia is obviously really nervous around Xaden. A, because he's scary. B, because they're doing something secretive and she doesn't know the whole backstory, right? So it's totally normal that she's like,
Yeah.
And then Xaden signs to say thank you for helping them. 1, he just became even hotter to me. 2, he is being nice. And 3, he's making it clear that Violet's requests and his interests are aligned.
Yeah.
Then we find out that Violet speaks Tairish. How convenient.
Yeah. It's kind of just slipped in there. I was like, did we know that?
No. Jasenia returns the Book of Fables, and when Violet asked her what she thought of it, she said, quote, "It's an odd subject matter to leave out of the archives, don't you think?" Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jasenia. Mm-hmm. I think.
Yeah, she's still being, like, reserved and not outright saying anything, but, like, she knows.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Violet uses the fact that both she and Jasenia have mutually assured destruction, and that's her basis for trust, which, to be honest, I think is a faulty logic for trust. What do you think?
Yeah, because at that point, it's a race to who, like, if you wanted to betray someone, you can.
It's a race to the bottom.
Does it first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And then she digs at Xaden saying, quote, "Trust has to go both ways to mean anything." Mm-hmm. And he responds, quote, "Both ways, but you're shutting me out while I'm trying my damnedest to open up to you." Then we must discuss this next thought.
Okay.
She's harping on the fact that he hasn't actually said the words, "I love you." Mm. What do you think about this? Because he's shown her he loves her.
Yeah, which I think is much more important than saying it. Anyone, like, at the end of the day, anyone could say the words, "I love you."
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything if you can't back it up. And he has
100%
backed it up time and time again. So the fact that he hasn't said the words, like, maybe she's, like, just being a bit of a baby because he's expecting her to say it. But she has said it before.
She has, but she hasn't said it in a long time, and she's actually told him she doesn't love him anymore.
Yeah.
Which he knows is a lie, but, like, she hasn't said that she loves him since she said she no longer loves him, if that makes sense.
I could, like, I replay him yelling, like, "You love me!" all the time. I replay that all the time in my head. Every time that I'm reading about, like, them having this tiff, that's what plays in my head.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
Anyway, yeah, no, he's proved it.
Yeah.
She's just being stubborn.
Anyway, Violet's droning on and on about trust, and Xaden's had enough. He storms off to find Bodhi. He tells her, quote, "No good could come of the things I want to say right now, Violet. So instead of digging a deeper hole with words I'll regret later, I'm going to take some space and do something productive because this isn't."
So mature.
I love this and I hate this at the same time.
Yeah, I understand. But, like, they have been fighting. Words were exchanged.
And it's the same just, like, fight
and
over
he knows
and over.
If he goes, he's probably going to go in for, like, a blow that's going to be hard to recover from. So I think it's the right move.
It definitely is the right move. It's just, I want to fight immediately. I want to resolve this immediately. I want to but I'm also the kind of person where, like, very few things hurt my feelings in a fight. Like, I am guilty of this, of, like, saying things that I do regret, or saying things that, and I'm really not proud of admitting this, but I have in the past, like, said things to hurt the other person to get that, like, immature satisfaction out. You know, like, when you're just so angry and you're so hurt that, like, you just want the other person to feel the same way. So, like, I've done that. When other people do that to me, I have the ability to be like, I know they didn't mean that, so, like, it doesn't stay with me.
Oh, okay.
So I would rather have that fight right then and there, no matter the ugliness that comes out of it, because I know that once the ugliness passes, it will pass. It's not necessarily healthy.
Yeah.
Mean things should never be said in the first place. But, like, I would almost rather get the poison out and, like, heal than let it fester. Because I'm also the kind of person, like, I will spiral. Like, I might be angry about something and then, like, I'll just, like a spider web, it will just, like, grow into me being upset about, like, 5 million different things that are like partially related.
For sure that happens to me too. But I usually manage to ground myself, but I also, like, it's funny because she listens, but the only person I will actually yell and come to blows with, like, in that type of fight is my sister.
But that's like, it's your sister. I love you too.
But, like, that's the only context, but, like,
all she'd have to do is make you cake pops, because that girl is so freaking talented.
And then we'll explode and I'll cry because I can't. I think part of the reason why I need to stay calm in a fight is, like, I'm just going to cry and I can't even fight. So we'll explode, we'll fight, and then we'll circle back in a few days and figure it out. But that's the only time, like...
Do you guys apologize to each other?
Yes and no. Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah, okay,
sometimes
same.
we just move on.
Same.
Sometimes we actually talk it out. It depends.
I'll just like do something nice and I'll be like, that's my apology. And this is actually something that I've really had to like get better at in my marriage, because my husband is somebody who needs the apology and he doesn't want to prompt me to apologize. And I'm the person that'll like either just move on or do something nice to apologize. Like, it's terrible to say, but like the words "I'm sorry" like don't really matter to me. Well, I've had to learn and grow. Again, it's a work in progress.
I think I share like a similar sentiment to the "I love you." It's like anyone could just say "I'm sorry," but meaning it and showing it and making the changes accordingly, is what you need to back up the apology. Yeah. Anyone could just say "I'm sorry," and not mean it. Anyway, we're just like full of deep exploring just conversation today. You're was welcome, really bad English, listeners. But anyway,
that's fine. Awards.
I don't have a most romantic.
I do. Oh, it's when Rhiannon says, "I'll do it too. I've never moved anything as big as you, but I bet my signet will put you in the ground without even disturbing the dirt if I'm pissed off enough."
I put that as funniest.
Really?
Yeah.
I just thought, like,
it's also love, though.
Yeah,
it's also
so loving.
But I just thought it was funny. I was like, yeah,
that's a ride or die.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your funniest?
That was quick. I could make so many innuendos, but I'll refrain.
Spiciest?
Why do you think I'm so angry? This is Xaden asking her. Because you don't like being on the other side of secrets.
Ooh, sassy.
Super sassy.
My spicy's not super spicy, but it's kind of funny spicy. I think spending the day tangled up in that bed together would be enjoyable, but since you drew the line, here I am with boring, sexless books.
Yeah, I have that too. And I don't know in my notes, like this is just me being poorly organized. I don't know if that was supposed to be like a second
funny
or spicy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of funny spicy.
Yeah.
Whatever. Chapter 19. In a display of total badassery, Tairn lays down the law and proves to Varys that dragons bow to no man. Later, Violet unbottles so much of what she's been feeling to Rhiannon. It seems like this friendship may be on the mend.
And the pre-chapter blurb comes from Colonel Carey's Field Guide to Dragonkind, and all it says is, "Dragons do not answer to the whims of men." And it reminds me of lions don't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep.
Oh.
It follows the same, like, thing, no?
Absolutely. I got so excited reading that. I was like, yes, finally. Something's going to happen.
Something did happen.
Something did happen. I mean,
it was bound to happen, number one.
It was, one, bound to happen. Two, in the moment, it was so satisfying. I know it's going to come back and bite them in the butt.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
I loved every minute. He should have just finished the job. But anyway, let's get into it.
The chapter opens and it's flight maneuvers. And Violet is nervous because obviously Andarna is still a no-show. And obviously, I heard in brackets, in Snape voice.
I heard it right away.
Thank you. Varys is there to witness that fact, and the creep looks happy about it. I just wrote, sicko.
Yeah.
That morning, she had wielding lessons with Professor Carr and only made it to 27 before her temperature spiked. And she also didn't hit a single point she was aiming for. So this is, like, not good news. It appears as though these lessons with Carr are really not helping, because it's as if Carr just wants her to, like, shoot, wield. But he's not teaching her anything. He's just trying to, like, maybe build up her, like, resilience.
Which I guess that is important. But yeah, if she can't even aim, it's like...
Then it's useless.
It's just a dangerous power to be wielding in battle. Like, you could accidentally hit one of your squad mates.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And I understand it's not a common power, so maybe they don't really know how to help her. But why are we doing this? You know, like, why are we just tiring her out for no reason?
Agreed. Rhiannon looks at Solus and is like, there is something off about that orange dragon. Park. And Violet's friends are creeped out by the way that Varys is looking at her and why he's so obsessed with her. And I just wrote again, girl, I wanna know. She tells him he's obsessed with Andarna, who she tells them is resting a lot, because she's trying to find ways to not lie, but not tell the truth. Rhiannon asks if she's all right, and Violet's like, I'm fine. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah. I mean, like, her reasons, though, like, what she comes up with for Andarna, she's like, oh, you know, the moves are too complicated. She can't keep up. Like, so she's just resting. It works.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
But I guess her friends are probably going to be like, well, if you're getting punished or you're getting in trouble, like, she'd at least just show up.
Show up. Yeah, it's a very good point.
We get a sense in this scene that Rhiannon's patience is waning. She goes, right, of course you are. And then she smiles sadly and, like, walks away. And Violet's worried that Rhiannon will never forgive her, but Tairn reassures her that that's not the case. Varys then sneaks up on Violet and tells her that since Andarna didn't show up, Violet will not be participating in maneuvers today, and he tells her that she is charged with dereliction of duty and that she's to meet Professor Carr to receive her punishment, and I am anxious.
He is obsessed with that word, dereliction of duty. Like, he keeps pulling it out. He's just obsessed.
I know. And he's so, like, like high and mighty, and...
Yeah.
Rhiannon's like, oh, what's going on? And remember, Rhiannon is not only Violet's best friend, but she's her squad leader. So she is in the chain of command. And Varys tells her, quote, obviously, her first punishment wasn't enough to teach her subordinate squad leader, Mateus, so she requires another. And as the vice commandant, I don't owe you an explanation. Now mount up for maneuvers before you are punished alongside her.
And Rhiannon didn't know about this. So this is how she finds out, which, like, ouch.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I understand to a degree Violet keeping everything else a secret from her friends, but this is something that she could easily have told them.
Yeah.
Because this has to do with Andarna. And, like, yes, she's keeping the whole Andarna and the Dreamless Sleep a secret, but this has nothing to do with the rebellion. It has nothing to do with anything else. So she could at least...
It is something she could have divulged.
Yeah.
She does, I think, later say, like, oh, it was because I didn't want you to be targeted too. But, it feels like... she needs to pick and choose her moments a little better if she actually wants to maintain these relationships.
Exactly. On the other hand, Tairn is not having at it. He roars, quote, there will be no punishment. It is not within your power to summon a dragon. Tairn is having a full-on dragon temper tantrum. He's roaring, he's snapping his teeth, and he's stalking forward, getting in Varys' personal space. So here, I have a question for you. Because we know from Fourth Wing that dragons don't usually communicate with riders that are not their own. Do you think that Tairn and Varys are communicating directly, or that Solas is an intermediary? Because at first, there is a delay as Tairn's words are transmitted to the other riders through their dragons, but then the conversation speeds up. And unless she doesn't specifically, like, repeat the logistics, it could be interpreted that the interpretation is no longer happening.
Okay, I took it as it was being channeled through all the dragons to kind of, like... stereoed to everybody.
But it was at first.
But I never thought it switched. Maybe it did.
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, that'd be because he was so mad and he just, like, really
That's what I'm saying.
lays into him. Maybe. I guess they have the power to do it.
Well, yeah, because I'm thinking when Xaden came up with the whole idea for the harness. I mean, it's not unbelievable that Sigil would be there, but I feel like if you're talking about the flow of conversation, it doesn't really make sense for... you know.
But Tairn and Xaden can talk the same way Sigil and...
Violet can.
Violet.
Yes. Which I guess is due to their bond. I don't know.
Anyway, I don't know. It's very possible that there was like a switch flip there. I didn't read it as such, but it's definitely a possibility. I mean, Tairn's pissed.
He's so mad. He lunges forward, bypassing Varys and surging towards Solas with another roar, his tail lashing the air, and then attacks Solas, locking his jaw on his throat. And I'm like, oh boy, we know what can happen now. And again, are they communicating directly when Tairn says, only a rider can be the vice commandant of Basgiath. Without a dragon, you are not a rider. I hate to be a know-it-all, but without a dragon, Varys is dead. Like, it's not, oh, only a rider could be the vice commandant of Basgiath. It's only an alive person. Only an alive rider can be a vice commandant of Basgiath. And so if Solas is dead, Varys is dead.
Yeah.
Unless, ...
Right, because something's wrong with him, and we're questioning whether or not Varys is actually fully alive.
Or human.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
Varys gives in, saying that Violet will not pay the price for her dragon's refusal to attend the flight maneuvers, but that's not good enough for our Tairn. I have chills, because all the dragons on the flight field start bowing their head to Tairn, and Tairn demands an apology from Varys. Violet's like, this really isn't necessary. And Tairn goes, it is necessary to me, Silver One. His voice rumbles in her head. And this is something else that we need to maybe park. He says, I speak for Andarna while she's in the dreamless sleep.
Yeah, I didn't like that he said those words.
Why?
Because what if other people heard? Did he only say that to Violet?
Yeah, he only said that to Violet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I had a panic.
No. Violet quickly accepts Varys' apology, and Tairn lets go of Solas. And Tairn thinks he solved the problem, but Varys is looking at Violet with so much hatred that she thinks to herself, Varys may have been my enemy before, but I have a feeling that this just made Solas my nemesis. This you definitely need to park.
But the degree at which he makes him apologize is
he has to
fantastic.
grovel.
He literally makes him grovel on his knees, and like And this is where I'm saying, like, in the moment, I was, like, cackling. I was like, this is fantastic. And I know it's going to come back to bite him because obviously he's been embarrassed. And we've talked about men and their rage being embarrassed and stuff. But, like, in the moment, I was just like, oh, so satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, you get on those knees, you piece of
poop.
Anyway, it was great. It was great. I know he's going to come back and hit even harder than he was hitting before. He's going to pick his moment and come.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So Tairn should have just killed Solus.
Gotten rid of the problem for us.
Killed Varish. And moved
yeah, but then
on.
the story would have ended.
No, there's other things going on. There's so much more than Varish going on.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So the scene changes, and it's 3 days later, and Rhiannon is accompanying Violet to Tairn. They're going to be going off to Samara. Mm-hmm. And I love this act of friendship, grace, everything. Mm-hmm. So Violet basically tells Rhiannon that she doesn't have to accompany her, and Rhiannon is just, like, so sweet in her forthcomingness and her vulnerability. She tells her, I don't mind. I feel like I never get to see you anymore. Mm-hmm. And I love friendships where you can just, like, be yourself, be emotional, be vulnerable. Like, you don't have to be cool and pretend you don't care. It just warms my heart because this is a template or a model of friendship that I think is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've said it from the beginning, their friendship is so real and pure. And the fact that they could be so, I mean, I know right now Violet is not being so forthcoming with everything, but in general, the relationship have been so open to just, like, telling each other how they feel about things. Obviously, right now, Violet is sitting on a huge thing. She cannot tell Rhiannon for everyone's sake, but they do have a really lovely friendship. Mm-hmm. And I think this moment needed to happen.
Absolutely.
So they're walking and they're passing the gauntlet and they're kind of just reminiscing. And Rhiannon makes a comment saying how she thinks, like, the gauntlet is essentially bad because it's not worth the lives lost on it. So yeah, basically Violet at this point, like, explodes because she disagrees with what Rhiannon's saying, and she just, like, lets out all her frustration she's been feeling for the last while, and she goes into how the gauntlet prepares them for life. So she says this place, like, hardens us and basically forces us to watch our friends die to prepare them for the real moments in the real world where they have to watch their friends die and then they need to keep moving.
Yeah.
Which is so real and horrible, but, like, she has a point.
For sure. I mean, I think that when we were reading Fourth Wing, we all thought this was so barbaric and it's crazy to watch them all go through this. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that there's probably a way to maybe make it slightly less fatal. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But this observation by Violet that without essentially being desensitized to death, you would probably just crumble in battle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because remember that first death when Aurelie falls. Mm-hmm. Those moments after, like, it's all Violet could think about.
Yeah.
Which it's totally normal. Like, she literally watched her friend fall to her death. But it's all Violet could think about. And she's going through emotions. And, like, Xaden comes in and says, like, you just need to learn to pick up and move on. And, like, those lessons is what saved her
100%
when Liam died. Mm-hmm. Because had Liam's death been her first,
someone
who was tenfold closer to her, she wouldn't have been able to get up. She wouldn't have been able to walk away. And she wouldn't have been able to save all her friends. She saved everybody.
Yeah.
So it's, like, such a harsh realization, but also such a, I think, true realization.
100%. Then things are taken up a notch. Rhiannon calls her out on not talking to her, and some of the things that she says are fair and some aren't. So these are the things that are fair. Okay. She says, you don't talk to me, blah, blah, blah. You're running with Imogen or locked away reading. Okay, like, that's fair. You could run with Rhiannon if you wanted, and you can read around Rhiannon. I don't know. Like, maybe she can't read around Rhiannon because of the
I just realized
content that she's reading.
When I read it, I forgot that they literally run. I read the sentences running with Imogen.
Oh, like hanging out with?
But they're literally running.
Yeah, they're literally running.
Sorry, go on.
Okay. What I don't think is fair is when she says, or spending every possible Saturday with Ryerson. I don't think this is fair. Because whether their relationship was solid or not solid, she's got 1 day a week with her boyfriend. Let's just call it what it is. And she's got 6 other days with you. And fine, okay, it's the weekend. There's another day of the weekend. That's the one thing. Rhiannon, you had me until then. Then she says, this is something that's also, like, potentially controversial. She says that Liam was my friend too. And I'm like, but really? Like, were you as close?
Yeah.
Okay, you agree with me?
Yeah, no, I don't think she was as close.
So, like, her kind of using Liam's death as, like, well, I was, like, saddened by that as well or whatever. Or, like, it affected me too. Like, yeah, obviously it's going to affect her. But, like, I don't think it's fair for her to put her grief on the same level as Violet's. Like, I don't know. It just makes me uncomfortable.
Understand. Yeah. I guess at the end of the day, like, we don't really know what their relationship was. Like, we haven't seen any evidence of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree. It's not. There's, like, Liam and her spend every day together, every moment together. So it's impossible.
Liam was her, like, protector, her bodyguard.
Yeah, so it's impossible that they had the same relationship. Not to take away from anyone else's grief, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Then Violet explodes, and she goes, you weren't there. You didn't hold him, watch the light fade out of his eyes, knowing that there wasn't a physical thing wrong with him, but he was dying because Day lay eviscerated just a few feet away. Nothing I did in the moments before mattered. Gods, I held on to him so tightly. My shoulders almost dislocated. He was so damn heavy, but I held on, and it didn't matter. You haven't seen what's out there, what makes me run every fucking morning. And the look on his face, you don't see it every time you sleep. You don't hear him begging you to take care of Sloane. You sure as hell don't hear Day scream. And as horrible as it might be, as callous as it might make me, watching Orly fall and Pryor burn and even Jack fucking Barlow get crushed under my landslide prepared me for the moment I had to leave Liam's body on the ground and fight. If I'd sat there and mourned like I wanted to, none of us would be here. Imogen, Bodhi, Xaden, Garrick, everyone. We'd all be dead. There's a reason they want us to watch our friends die, Rhi. We are the weapons, and this place is the stone used to sharpen us. I'm sorry, and I'm glad you don't know what it's like. I'm grateful every single day that you don't have those memories, that you and Sawyer and Riddick weren't there. I wouldn't wish that day on my worst enemy, let alone my closest friend. And even if I'm quiet lately, that's what you still are, my closest friend. And you're right, I should talk to you. You lost Liam too. You have every right to know. But Tairn shows up right in time. And he stops her from telling her the truth because she was literally about to spill the beans.
I know.
And good thing Tairn stopped her because big bad Varish shows up.
Part of me just wants her to tell Rhiannon, like, I don't know.
Well, Jacinia also said, like, I made a choice. Your friends deserve to make that choice as well. And I think that Violet is just caught between a rock and a hard place because I'm sure she agrees, and I'm sure that she feels confident that should her friends know the truth, they would be on their side. Yeah. But she also has this loyalty to Xaden, and Xaden's, this isn't her secret to tell.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue, I guess, because I agree, like, obviously Rhiannon would believe her and I think she would be on her side, but at the end of the day, it's like the more people you tell, the more risk you're putting at, like, leadership finding out.
Yeah, of leaks.
So.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially knowing they're going into torture at some point this year.
So. Very good point.
Anyway, Varish shows up, like you said, and he checks her pack again, and
kind of ominous. He's like, enjoy your leave while you have it.
Yeah, so kind of threatening the fact that he will try to take away the leave as payback for the whole Solus moment. Yeah, and then that's the end of the chapter, but I think this, like, explosion was just so important for the relationship. I'm like, oh my God, finally. Like, we're finally going to get somewhere. Like, they needed to have this fight so they could move on and hopefully now realize that, like, Violet's going to realize Rhiannon has her back and she could probably open up to her more with still keeping little secrets.
Yeah. Violet apologizes for exploding, which I also think is important. Like, the explosion was necessary, but the apology for the explosion was also necessary. And Rhiannon, and I will say this is a close second for my most romantic line, so I'll just read it now. Rhiannon says, quote, don't be, because Violet said, like, I'm sorry. I'd rather you scream at me than pretend everything is all right with silence.
That is my most romantic.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, then Violet just answers, nothing is all right. Wah, wah.
So speaking of awards.
Speaking of, yeah, I kind of beat you to it. Okay, so that's your most romantic line. I have two. Well, so basically I had three. The whole time Tairn protected Violet in the scene, I thought was really, like, love romantic, not like romance romantic. Yeah. And when he said, apologize to the one Andarna deemed worthy of her bond.
Yeah.
I loved that
line.
Yeah.
Funniest line? Humans have the memory of gnats. Dragons hold grudges.
Me too.
Spiciest?
So it's when Varish was sneaking up on Violet, and he's like, oh, surely you wouldn't think of attacking a professor, would you? And she says, I attack anyone foolish enough to sneak up behind me this year.
Mine is, I guess more on the sassy side. I think you read it before, but only a rider can be vice commandant of Basgiath. Without a dragon, you are no rider.
Yeah.
Tell him.
Last chapter of the episode.
It's a big chapter, though.
Oh, it's this chapter. All the feelings.
Chapter 20. Arriving at Samara, Xaden sweeps Violet off her feet in a passionate kiss, presumably in a show to prove to Mira that they are together. Violet struggles in conversation with her sister, wanting so badly to reveal the truth about Navarre. Then Xaden and Violet have wonderful pillow talk, finally bringing them closer together.
Yeah. The pre-chapter blurb comes from recovered correspondence of Lieutenant Xaden Ryerson and Cadet Violet Sorrengail. I hate reading that. And it says, "In the years after my father died, I forgot what it felt like to be loved. Then I entered the quadrant and became the monster everyone needed me to be. And I never regretted it. But then you gave those words to me and I remembered. And I nearly lost you too. I'm striving to be better for you just like I promised. But I need you to know that monster is still there, screaming to use every ruthless part of me to get your words back."
My heart.
I know.
What a freaking romantic that's Xaden Ryerson.
Yeah. I love it so much.
I love it so much. Yeah, it like broke me.
Aww.
It's so good.
It is so good. So the chapter opens and Violet and Tairn are landing at Samara, and we find out that they've been arguing about attempting a running landing, Tairn refusing to let Violet try, but apparently it's a graduation requirement. So they're going to need to figure their shit out.
Which I didn't know.
Me neither.
So,
Uh-oh. They engage in this really playful banter, and her and Tairn, Violet and Tairn, always have this really lovely chemistry, but it's usually kind of snarky, and there's always the undertone of love, but it's usually very snarky. And in this case, it's just playful. There's no snark whatsoever. Tairn is clearly very excited to see Sigale, so he's agreeing to Violet's demands that he otherwise wouldn't. Then she tells Tairn, "I can't believe you allowed someone up here to secure the bags. I'm impressed with your restraint." But it turns out Bodhi attached the bags to the saddle before
he put it on. I want to see this. I want to see how a dragon puts on a saddle. They don't have like hands and disposable thumbs. Like this, I need to see this. That's all.
That's the costume designer in you. I'm just like, I just accept it. I don't need to know the mechanics.
It needs to be part of the TV show.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be.
Anyway.
I feel bad for the props people on the TV show. Yeah. What a challenge it'll be.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. They're going to have amazing props, costumes too. Oh my God. I'm very excited for them to actually make this a reality.
Yeah. Who was I talking? I was talking to Catherine. Mm-hmm. She has a friend who does your job, but in the UK.
Oh, wow.
And she was offered Bridgerton and passed it up.
Why?
She had another commitment.
Okay.
I could not imagine any other commitment that would
trump Bridgerton. Was it the first season?
I think it was the second.
Oh, okay. Then I don't know. Because the first season I could understand being like, I don't really know what this is.
Yeah, but it's
and,
Netflix. It's Shondaland.
Yeah.
Shondaland.
I agree. But sometimes going into a project, like you really have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
You're given like next to no information before actually accepting. Like scripts are so secretive, right? So
yeah. But she knew it was Bridgerton. I don't know.
Anyway, well, I didn't know what Bridgerton was before the Netflix show came out. I didn't read the books like you.
I only read the books after I watched season 1.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom and my grandmother have read all of them.
Yeah. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. Well, me neither. I just thought it was some, like, weird romance novel. Like, I didn't think it was any good. Like, this sounds terrible to say, but, like, I just thought it was, like, a stupid book my mom read. Like, I didn't... get the hype. I didn't get the and then I read it and I was like, oh, this is like really good. Okay, back to Samara.
Yeah.
Violet is nervous to see Xaden because remember last time they left each other, they were not on the best of terms. Mm-hmm. And she notes that the bags that she is carrying, which are filled with smuggled items, are vibrating with energy. Mm-hmm. And she assumes that they've already been imbued with power. And my question is, by whom?
Mm-hmm. I was wondering that too. I don't know.
We don't get an answer, I don't think, in this book.
Okay.
Anyway. And I don't know why I think this is so funny, but an entire company of infantry is jogging towards her and they yell, "Rider!" And they like split down the middle. I think that is so funny.
I know. It's such a like movie moment. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. Then Violet is incredibly relatable, at least to me, because she goes, quote, "Not sure how it's possible, but I simultaneously want to climb the man and kick him hard in the shins." And I'm just like, LOL, LOL, LOL. Because one time my husband made me so mad, I kicked him in the shins, and then I like broke my toe.
Oh, what?
I didn't actually break my toe, but like my foot was not in good shape and like my toenail turned blue. Like,
oh my God. I don't even know how to respond to that.
The worst part is like I was an adult when that happened. Like I acted so childish, but I was just so mad and like I just wanted to like squeeze him, but he's a really big man, so I couldn't squeeze him. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna kick him, but like
that's really funny. How was his shin?
It was like as if I didn't even touch him. And obviously I started screaming bloody murder because my foot hurts.
The soccer player in me is like, you never kick with your toes.
I was a dancer, okay? I wasn't an athlete.
I know, that's why it's like not even a viable thing. I was just like, oh no.
I really like you. Again, like he's a good one because after I kicked him like an idiot, he took care of me.
Of course, good man.
Oh man, okay.
And then Xaden tells her mind to mind in kind of a panic, like, if you want to stay in my room tonight, you're going to need to play along. So make your choice right now. And she's like, what is going on? And basically he's like, tell me to kiss you right now, or like...
Oh, no. He says, tell me to kiss you, even if it's just for show. Mm-hmm. Just for show. Please.
Yeah, but he's going off... I think deep down knows that like they're still very much connected and stuff, but he is playing to what she is saying. And at the end of last chapter, he's like, you've made it very clear we're not together. And he's offering, like, you're allowed to bring other people into your room. Though their behavior is very, like, they're still in a couple, like, he is still playing to what she is saying. And he's just being respectful.
I don't like it.
Okay. Well, you'll not like what happens next.
Yes, I definitely like what happens next.
So she's like, what? Okay, kiss me, I guess. And then they're locked in this, like, super passionate kiss. Mm-hmm. Both of them totally forgetting that this is supposed to be pretend. She's like, she melts into a puddle. And who could blame her? Honestly.
I know. Like, Rebecca Yarros snaps for you. The way you write a kiss scene is just...
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
Their kisses are always top tier. Top tier kisses.
They're top tier kisses, 100%. How do you feel about her saying that basically the only way that they quote unquote work is physically / sexually?
Oh, she said that?
She does.
Rude.
I know. Like, I personally think it undervalues their compatibility. I think they're compatible for like way more things than just physically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. I didn't even notice.
You're too wrapped up in
the
makeout. Yeah. They're interrupted with a for fuck's sake. And it's Myriam.
Yeah.
Yay! But also, no.
No, because she interrupts?
Yeah. Obviously, she's going to be a thorn in their side.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We find out she's actually been stationed there. And it just like, I was like, is this intentional move by leadership? And what is the motivation behind it? Like, I haven't figured out what the plot is there. Like, what they're up to. Because obviously, other than, like, just being in the way in terms of their relationship, but they've already kind of established that they are together. I don't know. I don't know what they're up to.
Oh, see, I was thinking it could be one of two things. Either she's there to extend the wards because that's her signet. It has to do with wards. So that could be, like, because she's an asset to Navarre.
Yeah.
Or it could be because it's dangerous, because that's where they put Xaden there because it's dangerous. Mm-hmm. So could it be to get her out of the way?
Oh, to get her killed? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, maybe. I mean, for the shields thing, Violet says that, it's weird to place her here because the shields are already so strong here. So it'd be a waste. So I don't think it's that.
Good point.
But for the getting out of the way, yes, that did cross my mind. I'm like, well, anyway, we'll see.
Mira is giving major big sister vibes because she tells Violet, I'm thinking you must have taken a pretty serious blow to the head to be involved with this one, being Xaden. Mm-hmm. Is Mira the only person on Earth immune to Xaden's sex appeal?
That's a very good question. I don't know. Is Mira into guys? Do we know?
No, we don't know. That's a good point.
I don't know.
Okay, that's a good point.
But what you said is also a good point. I don't know. I think she's just playing the big sister
I think so too.
Card.
Xaden is on duty during the day, so Mira and Violet will have time to catch up, and then Violet and Xaden will have the night together. Mm-hmm. Mira, again, typical big sister, calls Violet out on being in love with Xaden and is like, oh, let's just go throw some knives at shit. Which I just love. I think they're so funny. So they're at target practice, and all Violet can think about is the truth about Brennan being alive, and that Mira has no idea. So we got like that on one side, and then on the other side we have Mira lecturing Violet on getting involved with Xaden and, you know, tells her she's worried about her. And Violet, like, does not want to talk about Xaden because things are complicated enough as it is. She can't really justify where they're at or whatever. 'Cause I'm sure if, like, her and Xaden were on solid footing and she was super confident in their relationship, she would have defended them and she would have been willing to go toe-to-toe with Mira on it. But I guess because, like...
not where they're standing. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. It's actually interesting. Until this conversation, I had, like, a little bit of a seed of, like, oh my God, did Mira give the folklore book on purpose? But then, like, knowing, but then having this conversation, I was like, oh no, she doesn't know what's out there.
Yeah. It reminds me, so I'm reading, as our listeners know, I am on a Tessa Bailey kick, and I'm reading one of her books called Fix Her Up. And I've never read, which is really surprising because I read a shit ton of romance novels, I've never read a brother's best friend.
Oh, really? Okay.
This is a brother's best friend, and the character, the female main character, is the little sister of, like, a family, and everyone kind of underestimates her and doesn't take her seriously because as a child, in order to be heard, she had to act like a pest. And even though she's an adult and, you know, she has her own home and she has a company and all these things, nobody still takes her seriously. And so it kind of makes me think of Violet in this case, where Mira, not taking her sister seriously, just thinks her sister is someone who, like, has an emotional attachment to these fairy tales, like folklore stories. And so she probably didn't think anything of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I guess there was a seed of hope that I was, like, hoping she knew and it was intentional, but then, don't think so.
Nope.
All the while, like you were saying, like, Violet kind of has this secondary conversation or thoughts in her head where she actually wants to tell Mira. So then she starts kind of prodding her and asking, like, she starts asking really risky questions. And she's like, what do you know about the shields? How are they made? What do you know about alloy? How is that made? Like, just so many things that I think, like, she trusts Mira and she knows, like, oh, she won't turn me in or whatever. But it's just like, there's other people around. Like, it just, I don't know. Was this the time and the place to, like, ask all these questions, like, with no tact, just one after the other, give me all the information you have. And Mira's like, what do you do? Like, why do you know this? First of all, why do you know this? Why are you asking this? This is above your pay grade.
Basically.
I don't know. I don't know if this was a good move. It's kind of scary. She even goes as far as to, like, say, like, what if leadership's lying about what they're telling us in their reports? And she's like, you know almost everyone and you don't know anyone who were in these attacks that are so-called reported, and kind of being like, what do you think? And I think Mira a little bit goes on the defensive because, like you said before, like, she very much has drank the Kool-Aid. Like, we've seen signs of that before. But part of me is, like, really hoping that it kind of plants a seed of doubt in her head that she starts questioning things.
I can't tell you. I haven't said my lips are sealed for a very long time.
I know. I was very stressed reading this whole part.
I mean, Mira even reminds her at one point to continue to throw the daggers so that they don't raise suspicion.
Well, exactly. She's aware that this is not conversations that should be had.
She does put a cone of silence, though. She uses her shield ability.
Okay.
At one point.
Oh, I didn't realize.
To protect them.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. The same way. Do you not remember when they were at Montserrat and it was Mira, Xaden, Violet, and Dane, and Mira puts down the shield, and then Dane tries to, like, brown nose her a little bit.
Yeah.
Same thing. The conversation now shifts once more to the wards, and we learn a lot about the wards and how they function, and we get this analogy about the umbrella. And do you know what that reminded me of? Like, what I immediately pictured? You know, in the Battle of Hogwarts, when the dome.
I hope our listeners watch Harry Potter because, my goodness, our
we
Harry
refer
Potter
to that a lot.
Or read, yeah. Anyway, at the end, Mira kind of just chalks it up to, like you said, Violet's, like, read too many fairy tales. And she's like, yeah, okay, you need sleep.
Oh, no. Hold on. So Violet pushes further at one point and asks if it could have been Wyvern. She brings up Wyvern specifically.
Yeah.
And that's when Mira is like, totally unvalidating her and saying, you're not getting enough sleep. This is just basically because you've been to battle for the first time and like chalking it up to PTSD. I don't even know. And she tells her basically to buck up. That's kind of how the conversation ends. Now, the best part of this chapter. It's fully night.
Yeah.
And Xaden slips into bed with Violet. Side note, is this the first time that they sleep in the same bed in this book? I think it is. Anyway.
We've never had, like, pillow talk before.
We've never had pillow talk, no. So he notes that she's still awake, and they have this wonderfully vulnerable conversation in the dark that I will be quoting from a lot.
Okay.
And I just love this. And it's honestly, it's one of my favorite things to do with Justin, which like, I know sometimes kind of annoys him because it's just like not the time or he's not in the mood or he's tired or whatever. But it makes you feel like you're having a sleepover with your husband. You know, like you just sit in the dark and you just like chit chat about like stupid stuff. I don't even know. But like I just.
It's so fun.
It is so fun. I love being married. Anyway. Violet confesses to Xaden that she almost told her sister and admits, quote, "For all my anger, you're right not to trust me because I almost told her. I even hinted, hoping she'd catch on. I want her to know. I want her to see Brennan. I want her to be on our side." And Xaden just tenderly holds her cheek, giving her the space to vent because she's struggling that there isn't a single person in the world that she can be entirely truthful with because she's not even being entirely truthful with him.
I know. Again, it's like, I think another conversation she needs to have. Like, at the beginning, we had Imogen's tough love. Then we had, like, the outbursts with Rhiannon. And now we're getting the conversation she needs to have with Xaden. It's just, like, so much growth in this chunk of chapters.
Yeah, absolutely. Then Xaden says something that we must discuss now that Onyx Storm has been revealed as the title for book 3. He says, quote, "I haven't exactly made it easier for you to trust me. I'm still not making it easy. But you and I are not easy people. What we build together has to be strong enough to withstand a storm or a war. Easy isn't going to give that to us. A storm!"
I didn't even pick up on that.
A storm!
Yeah.
You are not giving me the energy I want.
I don't know what to say. I don't know. I hadn't picked up on it, so I haven't thought about it. But
Onyx Storm.
I know. Initially, when the title came out, I posted a story saying, "Oh, I wonder if Onyx Storm is in reference to Violet and Xaden's powers because of Onyx and Storm."
That's actually, I forgot about that. That's a good point.
Together.
Yeah.
Which goes with what you're saying.
I guess, yeah.
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 I was
You're validating me? Thank you so much. They kind of forgive each other and give each other grace for the secrets they've been keeping. And Violet takes the opportunity to start asking him questions, and he answers. And I want to shake her because it's like, duh, he said he would. Like, he's been asking you to do this. So they bring up the famous weaving book.
Oh my God.
And I thought of you the minute I reread this.
Laughing so much because Violet had the same
thought that you did.
Just being like, what? I'm going to take up crafting now? Like, because I do think it's weird. And I part of me is like, okay, maybe the deeper meaning, like weaving has something to do with weaving wards or something. Like there has to be another meaning, but I still find it so weird.
Well,
and so does she. So
yes, but he also tells her, "I just thought you might like to explore an aspect of Tyrish culture." Why? Because he wants to take her to Tairn and make it his home, methinks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's still weird.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, listen, she speaks like, Tyrish.
No, I understand. And I think bringing her part of his culture and stuff is great. But, like, you don't get a crafty activity to someone who's never done crafts in their life. Like, the other day I sent you a TikTok of people painting drawers, like the Akatar drawer, and you're like, yeah, I'm not nearly artistic enough for this. So I was like, okay, well, we won't do it. It's the same thing. I'm not gonna buy you a drawer and some paint and be like, here you go. Like, it's weird.
No, I know, but if it was something to do with like your culture, maybe I would.
Akatar is my culture. Anyway, it's just funny. Like the Tyrish daggers.
Yeah.
That's technically something that is cultural to him, and he gave that to her. Like, that makes sense to me. Because it's actually something she could use. It's actually something that's, like, has to do with her. You know what would be a good gift? A Tyrish history book.
Yeah. Very true.
Like, there's just, it's... Anyway.
But you know what? Now that you bring up the idea of, like, using the knots to do other things, you may be onto something.
Okay.
They talk about Violet's nightmares, and he just holds her close, and I'm just like, It's so delicious to me, you know? Like, the spooning, the vulnerability, the cuddles.
Yeah. Yeah, he like puts his leg on her at one point.
Yeah. And he also alert the media, reassures her that her shielding is good enough to keep Dane out, which is a huge boon to her confidence. Mm-hmm. Then this random teaching game teaches us that the alloy is made of palladium, whatever that is, a few other ores, and dragon shells, which are made of metal and still carry magic long after the dragons hatch.
Yeah. So to add to the super complicated way of weaving words, we're adding 3 more ingredients. But it is interesting because I was like, oh, that's why it stems from the hatching grounds. Like, makes sense.
Yeah. Flirty Xaden is back when he tells her, quote, now go to sleep before I forget all my honorable intentions. Mm-hmm. And Violet flirts back saying, quote, I could remind you of some very fun, very dishonorable ones. And he's still waiting for her to tell him that she loves him. And he tells her that she loves him. And she goes, quote, stop reminding me. But she snuggles in a little bit deeper. And I'm just like, oh, I love being a little spoon. And then he breaks my heart and does the Mexican friggin' hat dance on it when he says, quote, maybe you're not the one I'm reminding.
I know. Baby boy. So sad.
Last awards of the week.
I was just going to say, but I think this moment is very good for the relationship.
Definitely.
And we are moving into the right direction.
We are. I just want to crest that hill, you know?
Yeah. Awards.
Most
romantic.
Quote, I'm still not making it easy, but you and I are not easy people. What we build together has to be strong enough to withstand a storm or a war. Easy isn't what's going to give that to us. Mm-hmm. What'd you put?
One touch, that's all it takes, and the world around us ceases to exist. This is everything.
Oh, I just love them so much.
I know.
It's Me pathetic. Too. It's really like...
I'm very invested too, I understand. What's your funniest line?
It's the conversation with Mira. So Mira goes, you're not just fucking him, are you? You're falling for him. And Violet's like, not exactly. And she goes, who do you think you're fooling? He basically swallowed you whole, and now you're watching with those big soft eyes that are practically oozing with, what is that? Yearning? Infatuation? Love? Oh no, you're in love with him, aren't you? And she goes, you can't possibly know that just by looking at me. And then she goes, oh, let's just go throw some knives. Or, oh, let's just go throw knives at shit.
A very sister moment.
Yeah. What about you?
Because I'm thinking you must have taken a pretty serious blow to the head to be involved with this one.
Mm-hmm. My spiciest line is the 3 paragraphs describing the kiss.
Yeah, same. All right. And that's it.
All right. For next week, please read chapters 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. Thank you so much for listening. We are so grateful for every single person that downloads our episodes, who shares our content, who comments on our content, follows us. This has been such a fun. We're now over 3 months into this podcasting journey. 4 months.
4 months, yeah.
Into this podcasting journey, and it has just been such a ride. Elyse and I have learned so much about ourselves, about each other. We've learned new skills. We've met incredible people. Mm-hmm. We're just so grateful. And so to allow us to continue doing this, please rate this podcast and leave a review. It'll help other people find us. Please tell your friends about us, because if you like us, they for sure will as well. If you're watching us on YouTube, please click like, subscribe to our channel. It'll just allow us to keep going, give us that little boost we need.
Yeah.
If you haven't already, we encourage you to set new episodes to download so that you're up to date and never miss a moment. We have bonus content that comes out, so sometimes,
surprise episodes.
There you go.
There you go.
If you're interested in supporting the show any other way, we also have our Amazon storefront where you can find some of our favorite things, books, and more. You can follow us on Instagram at Book Bound Pod, on TikTok at Book Bound Besties, and as always, you can email us your questions, comments, concerns, theories, literally whatever, at bookboundpod@gmail.com. Let's get to reading.